The galaxy was vast, full of civilizations far older and far more powerful than humanity. On countless planets, alien empires had risen and fallen, each stronger and more advanced than the last. Among them, humans were almost unknown, whispered about in rumors and dismissed in casual conversation. To most, the idea that humans could be warriors capable of fighting alien soldiers seemed laughable. On a large, sleek starship orbiting a contested planet in the Tethar system, the leaders of the Triumvirate Council gathered. 3 alien species, each proud and dominant, sat in high chairs arranged in a triangle around a glowing holographic display. Their voices echoed in the chamber as they discussed the latest intelligence reports. "Humans?" said Zorath, the reptilian general, his eyes narrowing. "You expect me to believe that tiny creatures from that blue planet are warriors? They are fragile. They are soft. They cannot survive even our training programs." His companion, a tall insect-like diplomat named Valera, clicked her mandibles in amusement. "I have seen their colonies. They run, hide, and quarrel among themselves. How could they possibly fight our soldiers? The idea is preposterous." A smaller rodent-like scout named Jirik shuffled nervously before the council. I have seen them. Not all of them, of course, but one. One human moved in a way I have never seen before. He survived attacks that should have ended him. He fought back." Zorath let out a low, rumbling laugh. "You are frightened by tales of a single human? That is nothing. Perhaps the scout exaggerates. Humans are weak. They are insignificant," but Jirik's ears twitched nervously. "I did not exaggerate. It is true, the human was different. He stood his ground when my eyes told me he should have fallen. He inspired the others." The council exchanged skeptical looks. None of them could imagine that a human could challenge their elite soldiers. Yet something about Jirik's tone lingered in the air, a mixture of awe and fear. Far across the galaxy, on a distant human colony called Aurora Prime, the human soldier Jarek, no relation to Jirik, though their names sounded similar, was already preparing for a mission. The planet's skies were pale green, and the twin suns hung low on the horizon. Casting long shadows over the training grounds, Jarek, a young soldier with sharp eyes and a strong frame, moved quickly, checking his gear and coordinating with his team. His squad of humans was small but disciplined, each trained for survival, combat, and teamwork. Unlike many alien species, humans had no natural weapons, no armor that could withstand the galaxy's harshest environments. But they had something else: ingenuity, determination, and the will to survive. "Check your comms," Jarek said, his voice calm but firm. "The aliens won't wait for us to be ready. They think humans are weak. Let's give them a surprise." The squad nodded. They had been briefed about a nearby outpost under threat by a band of mercenaries. It was not a major conflict, but it was enough to test their skills, and to set in motion events that would ripple across the galaxy. Meanwhile, the Alien Council continued their discussion. "Even if one human survived by chance, it does not mean the species is strong," Valera said. "It is an anomaly. A lucky creature in a lucky moment." Zorath leaned back, his scales glinting under the chamber lights. "Still, I want more reports. If humans are capable of this, we cannot ignore it. Send scouts. Observe them closely. If even a few of them are like this, we may have underestimated them." Jirik twitched. "I will observe, but be warned. What I saw, it was unlike anything I expected. The human, he does not fight like any other species. He adapts. He thinks differently." The council dismissed him, though uneasily. None of them could yet imagine the truth, that humans were small but unpredictable, fragile but surprisingly strong, and entirely capable of shocking the galaxy. Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek and his squad reached the outpost. It was a small research facility, barely defended, its walls patched with old metal plates and shields that flickered in the sunlight. Smoke rose from some of the buildings, signs of recent attacks. The squad crouched behind a ridge and observed the area. 2 guards on the left, Jarek whispered. 3 near the entrance. Movement inside the lab. His team nodded. Humans did not have energy shields like the aliens, nor advanced exosuits, but they had learned to use the environment. They had trained in deserts, forests, mountains, and abandoned cities. Every obstacle was a tool, every risk a potential advantage. The squad moved silently, carefully. Jarek's plan was simple: use speed, cunning, and teamwork. The aliens, or mercenaries in this case, relied on brute force and superior numbers. Humans relied on intelligence and courage. The first clash came quickly. A guard noticed movement, raising his weapon. In an instant, Jarek rolled behind a piece of debris and flung a small device. It emitted a blinding flash, disorienting the guard. Another human from the squad took the opening, knocking the guard unconscious with a swift strike. From the ridge, unseen by the aliens, a group of alien scouts had observed this. Their sensors recorded everything, sending data back to the council. One scout's antenna twitched in disbelief. How can a creature that size move so fast? And they are not even panicking. Inside the outpost, the fighting continued. Humans moved with a strange rhythm, sometimes retreating, sometimes advancing, always calculating, always precise. Jarek coordinated his squad, issuing commands in short bursts. Left flank. Cover the entrance. Move the wounded inside. The mercenaries, though larger and better armed, struggled to respond. Their weapons were heavy, their armor cumbersome. The humans dodged, feinted, and struck where it hurt the most. By the time the smoke cleared, the outpost was secure. The humans had survived a fight that should have overwhelmed them, showing remarkable skill and courage. Meanwhile, in the observation deck of the alien scouts, the council received live reports. Zorath's eyes widened as the data streamed in. Valera's mandibles clicked nervously. Impossible, Zorath muttered. That human. He survived against odds no species should survive. Jarek twitched. I told you, one is enough to change everything. The council fell silent. For the first time, the leaders of powerful alien civilizations began to wonder. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps they were something entirely unexpected. Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek surveyed the outpost. His team tended to the wounded, repaired equipment, and secured the perimeter. He allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. Humans had no natural advantages like claws, scales, or energy shields, yet they had something else: determination, courage, ingenuity, and a willingness to risk everything to protect others. Good work, team, Jarek said quietly. This is only the beginning. The galaxy doesn't know us yet, but soon they will. Above them, unnoticed, alien sensors recorded every movement. Across light years, data was sent back to the council. The rumors of a human warrior had become undeniable fact. The galaxy's perception of humanity was about to change forever. And somewhere in the council chambers, Zorath's voice rumbled, thoughtful and cautious. Perhaps we have underestimated them. In that moment, a new chapter began for humans and for the galaxy. The Tether system was quiet in the early light of its twin suns, yet tension hung thick in the thin atmosphere. From orbit, the alien scouts had observed unusual movements on Aurora Prime. Reports of human courage and skill had reached the Triumvirate Council, but skepticism remained. How could a species so small, so seemingly fragile, challenge the galaxy's elite soldiers? On the ground, human soldier Jarek Mercer stood on a ridge overlooking the outpost. His squad, 6 strong and disciplined, checked their equipment one last time. The skirmish yesterday had been a warning to any who would threaten human colonies. Humans were not helpless. But today's mission would test their true limits. We need to scout the perimeter first, Jarek said, his voice calm but firm. We cannot afford mistakes. The aliens are expecting us now. They know something is happening here. His squad nodded. They had learned the lessons of countless drills and survival exercises. Every human soldier was trained to think, adapt, and act fast. Unlike many alien warriors who relied on size, armor, or superior firepower, humans had developed strategies that turned weaknesses into advantages. The outpost lay several hundred meters below, nestled among jagged rock formations. Jarek signaled his team to move silently down the slope. Their boots barely made a sound on the rough ground. Shadows shifted as the twin suns rose higher, casting long lines across the alien landscape. Suddenly, movement flickered near the outpost entrance. Jarek froze, crouching behind a boulder. His squad followed his lead. 2 alien mercenaries, thin but strong, armed with plasma rifles, patrolled the perimeter. Wait for my signal, Jarek whispered. We take them together. Precision, no mistakes. With synchronized timing, the humans launched their attack. One squad member threw a small device that emitted a blinding flash. The mercenaries froze for a moment, blinking and disoriented. Another human sprinted forward, knocking one mercenary unconscious with a precise strike. Jarek moved behind the second, using momentum and leverage to incapacitate him without serious harm. Above the outpost, alien scouts observed, their sensors recording every motion. Jarek twitched, unable to hide his astonishment. How can a species so small move with such speed and coordination? They are unlike anything I have seen. Inside the outpost, the humans advanced carefully, clearing corridors and securing key points. Each encounter showed the same pattern. Alien forces had superior numbers and weaponry, yet the humans adapted instantly. They used shadows, walls, and obstacles as cover, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's formation. Jarek paused near a control console. We need to secure communications. The mercenaries cannot call for backup. He gestured to one of his squad members. In moments, the console was disabled, isolating the outpost from outside help. Outside, more mercenaries began arriving, alerted by the earlier skirmish. They assumed humans would panic and flee. They assumed humans could not fight back effectively. They were wrong. Jarek signaled a feint. Half the squad moved left, drawing enemy attention. The remaining humans circled behind, striking from unexpected angles. Confusion spread among the mercenaries. Some fled, some tried to regroup, but the humans' coordination was flawless. The aliens watching the battle could not believe what they were seeing. Jarek's antenna twitched nervously. One human? Maybe luck, but this is deliberate. They are fighting with strategy, intelligence, and courage. In a narrow corridor, Jarek encountered a heavily armed mercenary blocking his path. The mercenary raised a plasma rifle, confident of victory. Jarek ducked, rolled, and used the corridor wall to push off, knocking the mercenary off balance. With a swift, controlled move, he disarmed the opponent and restrained him. Impressive, whispered a voice behind the observation panel. Valera's mandibles clicked softly. If one can do this, what if more follow? Could the humans actually be capable of more than we imagined? Zorath, listening silently, did not respond immediately. The images on the screen told a story that words could not. Humans were small, yes. Fragile, yes, but they were fast, adaptable, and fearless. And most of all, they worked together, each one trusting the other in ways few species could understand. By mid-morning, the outpost was secure. The mercenaries were either captured or driven off, and the humans had suffered only minor injuries. Jarek checked his team. They were exhausted but unharmed, proud but calm. There was no cheering or boasting. Humans did not seek praise. Their victory was quiet but absolute. In the observation deck above, alien scouts transmitted the footage back to the council. Valera leaned forward, clicking her mandibles rapidly. We underestimated them. We need to consider the possibility that humans are not as weak as we assumed. Jarek twitched nervously. I warned you. They are different. They do not fight like any other species. They adapt, they think. They survive against impossible odds. Zorath's eyes glinted with unease. Then we must observe them further. Prepare more scouts. Learn all you can. If humans are capable of this, we need to know it before it becomes a threat, or an opportunity. Back at the outpost, Jarek and his squad gathered briefly. He looked at each member, noting their readiness despite the stress. Today was a warning, he said. We have proven something. Not just to them, but to ourselves. Humans are underestimated for a reason. They are always underestimated. That is our advantage. One squad member, a woman named Lena, nodded. We worked well, but we need to be ready. If they send more, it could be worse next time. Jarek smiled faintly. Then we adapt. We survive, we fight. That is all we know. As they prepared to leave, scouts from a nearby alien colony observed from a distance. Rumors of a human warrior began spreading. Across the Tethar system, intelligence reports carried stories of incredible feats. Humans surviving impossible attacks, coordinating with unmatched precision, and facing overwhelming odds without fear. Among the alien council, debate raged. Some dismissed the humans as lucky, anomalous creatures. Others began to whisper of something far more unsettling. Perhaps the humans' strength was not in their size or weapons, but in their minds, their courage, and their unity. Meanwhile, Jarek's squad returned to Aurora Prime. The planet's twin suns set slowly, painting the sky in shades of gold and green. Humans moved silently through the terrain, tending to their equipment and reporting their mission success. There was no celebration, only preparation. Humans understood that every battle was a lesson, and every lesson was a chance to become stronger. Jarek paused, looking at the horizon. He thought of the galaxy beyond Aurora Prime, the alien civilizations that had dismissed his species as weak. He knew their perception was about to change. Not because humans sought war, but because humans never backed down when challenged. "Prepare the data for the Council," he told his squad. "They need to see what we can do. The galaxy should know that humans are not to be underestimated." Above, unknown to Jarek, alien scouts continued observing. Sensors recorded every motion, every tactic, every maneuver. The footage would be studied, analyzed, and debated. Rumors that had once seemed ridiculous now had evidence to support them. Humans were warriors, not in the traditional sense, but in ways no alien species had anticipated. And far in the council chambers of the Triumvirate, Zorath finally spoke. "Perhaps it is time we take this species seriously. If one human can do this, then many could change the balance of power in ways we cannot predict." Valera clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "We have made a mistake. The humans, they are unpredictable, dangerous, and impressive. Perhaps we should not dismiss them so easily next time." Jarek twitched nervously. "It is already too late. They have shown their strength. Others will follow. The humans are not what we expected, and I fear we have only seen the beginning." On Aurora Prime, Jarek looked at his team, at the peaceful sky, and felt a quiet pride. The humans were small. They were fragile. Yet they were fearless. And for the first time in the galaxy, an entire civilization had begun to realize underestimating humans was a mistake that could not be repeated. Tomorrow, the galaxy would begin to pay attention. Today, humans had proven themselves. The Triumvirate Council had gathered once more, this time in full assembly. Alien leaders from the reptilian, insectoid, and rodent-like species filled the massive chamber, their attention fixed on a holographic map of the galaxy. The recent reports of human skill and courage had shaken them. No longer could they dismiss the tales as exaggeration or luck. Zorath, the reptilian general, tapped his claw against the console, sending data streaming across the chamber. "We have observed their tactics. Their teamwork is remarkable. Their speed, intelligence, and courage unlike anything we have seen in centuries." Valera clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "We cannot simply ignore them. If humans can face our mercenaries and survive, they might pose a real threat or perhaps even an opportunity. We need more direct observation." Jarek, the rodent-like scout, twitched nervously. "I have a suggestion. Let one human face our elite warriors in a controlled trial. No death, no permanent harm. We observe, we learn, and we finally know their limits." The Council considered this carefully. Alien species prided themselves on strength and tradition, and challenging a human directly was unusual, but the reports demanded action. Finally, Zorath spoke. "Very well. One human shall face our elite warriors. The arena will be neutral. If he survives and performs well, we will know what we are truly dealing with. If he fails, it will confirm our assumptions." The news reached Aurora Prime quickly. Jarek, hearing of the Council's challenge, felt a mix of apprehension and determination. He understood the importance of this trial. It was more than a test of skill. It was humanity's chance to prove itself to the galaxy. He met with his squad in the training center, a facility carved from Aurora Prime's rocky surface. The team was ready, but Jarek knew the challenge would push him beyond anything he had faced. "Listen," he began, addressing his team. "The Council wants a trial. One human against their elite. They want to see if we are truly warriors. This is not just for me. This is for every human colony, every person who has been underestimated. We cannot fail." Lena, his second-in-command, nodded firmly. "We will support you. But remember, strategy, patience, and awareness are our greatest weapons. Do not underestimate them." Jarek spent the following hours preparing. He studied the alien combat styles, their weaknesses, and the arena they would fight in. Unlike human arenas, this one was designed to test more than strength. It tested intelligence, adaptability, and endurance. The aliens placed obstacles, traps, and simulated dangers throughout, ensuring that only the cleverest and most resilient could survive. When the day of the trial arrived, the arena was revealed. A massive dome filled with terrain variations, rocky cliffs, shallow water pools, narrow corridors, and open plains. Alien observers filled the upper galleries, eager to witness the performance of a species they had long underestimated. Jarek entered the arena, his heart steady, his mind focused. He could feel the weight of expectations, not just from humans but from countless observers across the galaxy. Around him, the elite alien warriors moved silently, each representing a different species' peak of skill. The first test began. A group of insectoid warriors advanced quickly, attempting to surround him. Jarek moved swiftly, using the rocky terrain for cover, retreating and advancing in unpredictable patterns. The insectoids struck again and again, but Jarek anticipated their movements, dodging, rolling, and countering when the opportunity arose. Observers gasped. Many had never seen a warrior so small evade attacks from such a variety of enemies. Jarek twitched nervously in the observation deck. How does one human move like this? He whispered. Next, reptilian warriors approached, armed with long, heavy weapons. Jarek had no shields, no natural armor, yet he used his environment cleverly. Narrow pathways forced the larger aliens to slow, while he moved quickly and struck precise targets. He avoided unnecessary harm, incapacitating rather than killing, displaying skill, speed, and restraint. The alien audience murmured. Some were impressed, others uneasy. The idea that a human could stand against elite warriors was no longer ridiculous. It was a reality they could not deny. As the trial progressed, Jarek faced a combination of challenges. Simulated traps activated, forcing him to think quickly and adapt. Mechanical drones fired non-lethal rounds, testing his reflexes. He climbed walls, leaped across gaps, and used ingenuity to bypass obstacles. Every move was calculated, every decision deliberate. During a pause in the trial, Jarek caught his breath and observed the alien warriors. He noticed patterns, habits, and weaknesses. Unlike the aliens, humans had no preset combat style. They learned, adapted, and overcame. This adaptability was their secret advantage. The final stage of the trial brought all the elite warriors together. They advanced as a coordinated unit, expecting the human to falter under pressure. Jarek assessed the situation quickly. He noticed small gaps between them, missteps that could be exploited. Using speed and clever feints, he isolated one warrior at a time, neutralizing threats efficiently, while avoiding direct confrontation where possible. In the gallery above, Valera leaned forward, clicking her mandibles in disbelief. He is not only surviving, he is controlling the battle. One human against our best, and he is dominating. Zorath's scales shimmered under the observation lights. Remarkable. And troubling. If one can do this, what might a larger human force achieve? Jarek continued, moving with precision, maintaining energy and thinking several steps ahead. He avoided reckless attacks, knowing that conserving strength and using intelligence were just as important as speed and skill. His movements were a blend of discipline, courage, and creativity, a combination no alien warrior had anticipated. By the trial's end, Jarek stood alone, the elite warriors incapacitated but unharmed. The arena was a testament to his endurance, intelligence, and courage. The alien observers were stunned into silence. The whispers that had begun as doubt now carried awe. Jarek's antenna twitched rapidly. It cannot be. One human. This skilled, this adaptable. Valera's mandibles clicked nervously. We underestimated them, entirely. We must reconsider everything we know about humans. Zorath's eyes gleamed, a mixture of admiration and caution. This human has shown us something important. Humans are not what we believed. They are strong in ways that are different, dangerous even. Perhaps we have been blind for too long. Back in Aurora Prime, Jarek returned to his squad. They gathered in the quiet of the training center. Exhausted but proud, he looked at each of them and spoke quietly. Today was not just about me, he said. It was about humanity. We showed that we are capable, that we adapt, and that we can survive against impossible odds. But this is only the beginning. Others will come to test us. We must be ready. Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. You have done more than survive. You have shown what humans are capable of. The galaxy will take notice now. Jarek nodded, understanding the weight of her words. They had survived a challenge designed to crush them. They had proven skill, courage, and adaptability, qualities no alien could easily measure. Meanwhile, across light years, alien communication networks buzzed with the news. The trial's results were transmitted to other civilizations. Reports of the human warrior spread like wildfire, challenging long-held assumptions about humanity. Some aliens began to admire the humans, curious about how a species so small could possess such skill. Others felt unease, recognizing that underestimating humans had been a mistake. Across the galaxy, opinions shifted. The humans once dismissed were now seen as unpredictable, clever, and resilient, a species capable of extraordinary feats. In the quiet of the training center, Jarek allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated, but that was their advantage. Every species expected weakness, and yet humans used perception itself as a weapon. Their courage, intelligence, and unity could surprise even the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. More aliens would seek to test humans, perhaps in open conflict, perhaps in diplomacy, perhaps in ways no one could predict. But today, one human had stood against the galaxy's elite and proven that humanity's strength was not in size or technology, but in spirit, skill, and determination. And somewhere above the Tethar system, the Triumvirate Council continued to observe, their minds filled with uncertainty and awe. One human had changed their perception forever. For the first time, the galaxy realized humans were warriors, but not like anyone had imagined. The news of Jarek Mercer's trial spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Alien leaders whispered in councils, traders spoke cautiously in spaceports, and scouts recorded the tales of a human warrior who had bested the elite. Humans, once dismissed as weak and fragile, were suddenly seen in a new light. Some viewed them with curiosity, others with suspicion, and a few with respect. But admiration was not universal. Far beyond the Tethar system, a powerful alien warlord named Krillax prepared an invasion. Krillax ruled a cluster of star systems with an iron fist, crushing any resistance with overwhelming force. When he heard the rumors about humans, he scoffed. "Fragile creatures? What can humans do against my fleet? Let them try. They will fail, and we will see their limits." Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek and his squad were already preparing. Intelligence had reported Krillax's approach toward a neutral planet called Erithos, home to millions of peaceful beings. Jarek knew that waiting for the aliens to act would be disastrous. The humans were small in number but resourceful. They would have to rely on speed, strategy, and ingenuity to even stand a chance. "We cannot match their numbers," Jarek said as his squad gathered in the command center. "But we do not need to. We have brains, courage, and teamwork. That is more than enough. Erithos needs help. We will give it," Lena nodded. "We move quickly, strike with precision, and use the terrain. Every advantage counts. We will be ghosts to them until we decide to show ourselves." The journey to Erithos was tense. Jarek's team moved aboard a fast, small vessel, dodging patrols and scanning for enemy movements. Every sensor beeped with potential threats, but the humans were trained to remain calm. Panic was a luxury they could not afford. Upon arriving in orbit, they surveyed the planet below. Krillax's forces were massive, establishing landing zones and preparing for a full assault. Jarek studied their formations. "They are confident," he said. "They think their numbers make us weak. That is exactly what we will use against them." The plan was simple but risky. The humans would land in small squads across key locations, sabotage weapons, and create confusion among Krillax's forces. They relied not on brute force but on intelligence, adaptability, and bold action. Jarek led the first strike team to the main landing zone. Using the shadows and natural rock formations, they approached undetected. Small, precise explosives disabled key vehicles, while diversionary devices drew enemy attention elsewhere. The humans moved quickly, striking in ways Krillax's soldiers did not expect. Elsewhere, Lena's team infiltrated a communications hub. Using technical expertise, they disrupted enemy coordination, sending false signals and creating panic. Krillax's forces were strong, but disorganized by the humans' actions. Small strikes, clever tactics, and relentless courage made a huge difference. As the battle escalated, Jarek faced the elite of Krillax's forces. Large, heavily armored warriors moved in formations meant to crush anyone who opposed them. Jarek did not falter. He analyzed their patterns, anticipated their strikes, and used the environment to his advantage. Narrow pathways slowed larger warriors. Rocky cliffs allowed strategic ambushes, and improvised devices created obstacles they could not ignore. Observers from neutral planets, and even from rival alien empires, watched the battle through holographic feeds. What they saw astonished them. Humans, small in size and lightly armed, were able to hold their own against the might of Krillax's army. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability were unlike anything in the galaxy. In the midst of battle, Jarek faced a critical moment. A massive war machine armed with plasma cannons targeted his squad. The humans had no chance of facing it head-on. Thinking quickly, Jarek led his team in a clever maneuver, using the terrain to lure the machine into a narrow canyon. There, explosives they had set earlier immobilized it. The war machine was destroyed, not through sheer strength but through strategy and wit. Krillax's soldiers began to hesitate. The humans were unpredictable. Every time they thought they had them cornered, the humans adapted and countered. Their courage inspired others. Some alien soldiers, seeing humans' skill, began to question their own loyalty to Krillax. Lena and her team completed their mission at the communications hub. The enemy's coordination collapsed. Signals scrambled, units moved in confusion, and Krillax's forces struggled to respond. Humans were not powerful in the traditional sense. They had no massive ships, no overwhelming armies. But their impact was undeniable. During the final confrontation, Jarek faced Krillax's personal guard, a squad of the largest and most skilled warriors he had ever encountered. They advanced together, confident that no human could survive. Jarek remained calm. He analyzed their movements, noticed the gaps between them, and exploited their mistakes. Using speed, agility, and precise strikes, he incapacitated one warrior at a time. From the observation decks above, aliens across multiple star systems whispered in astonishment. Humans are capable. We underestimated them. They are clever, fast, and fearless. Krillax himself watched from his command vessel, fury in his eyes. He could not believe what he was witnessing. How can a species so small cause such disruption? How can one human coordinate so many actions? Impossible! By the end of the day, Krillax's invasion had failed. The neutral planet of Arathos was safe. The humans had achieved what no one thought possible. Not through brute strength, but through courage, intelligence, and teamwork. In the aftermath, Jarek gathered his squad. They were tired but proud. They had faced overwhelming odds and succeeded. Today, Jarek said quietly, we proved something, not just to Krillax, not just to the galaxy, but to ourselves. Humans are underestimated for a reason, and that is our greatest strength, Lena smiled. The galaxy will remember this. They will see that humans are not weak, not small, and not insignificant. We are capable of things no one expects. Across the stars, news spread quickly. Other civilizations began to take humans seriously. Some sought to learn from them, others to avoid conflict. The humans' reputation as warriors, clever and fearless, was no longer a rumor. It was a reality. Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek looked at the setting suns, reflecting on the day's events. Humans had no natural armor, no inherent strength compared to many alien species, yet they had something more valuable: courage, intelligence, and the will to survive. In the council chambers of the Triumvirate, debate continued. Zorath's scales glimmered as he spoke. One human has done what we never thought possible. This species is unpredictable, clever, dangerous. Perhaps we have ignored them for too long. Valera clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. We cannot dismiss them. We must study them, learn from them, and respect them, or we risk being surprised again. Jarek twitched nervously. It is only the beginning. Humans are small, yes, but they think, adapt, and fight in ways no one can predict. The galaxy must be careful. On Aurora Prime, Jarek gathered his squad once more. Rest and recover, he said. Tomorrow we train again. We have shown the galaxy what humans can do, but our work is never done. We prepare not for pride, but for survival and protection. That is what makes us strong. As night fell, the twin suns dipped below the horizon. Across the galaxy, the perception of humanity began to shift. Once dismissed as fragile, humans were now seen as clever, resourceful, and capable of facing overwhelming odds. One human warrior had changed minds, inspired courage, and earned respect not through size, strength, or technology, but through ingenuity, courage, and determination. And far above, alien scouts continued to record, analyze, and reconsider. One small species from a distant star system had made its mark. Humans were no longer a curiosity. They were a force to be reckoned with. The battle for respect had been won. The true test, however, was only beginning. The galaxy was changing. Rumors had turned into reports, and reports had turned into undeniable fact. Humans were warriors. Not in the traditional sense of brute strength or overwhelming firepower, but in courage, intelligence, and adaptability. From the Tethar system to the distant neutral worlds, every civilization began to reconsider their assumptions about humanity. On Aurora Prime, Jarek Mercer and his squad returned from the mission to protect Erithos. The twin suns hung low in the sky, casting gold and green light across the rocky landscape. The squad was tired, covered in dust and sweat, but their spirits were high. They had survived what no one thought possible, and in doing so, they had changed the galaxy's perception of their species. Jarek gathered his squad in the central training hall. "We have done something remarkable," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We have shown the galaxy what humans can do, but this is not the end. There will be others who underestimate us, others who challenge us. Our work is far from over." Lena, always his second in command, nodded. "They will watch us. Some will admire us, some will fear us. But we must remember why we fight, not for glory but to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Across the galaxy, news of the humans' victories reached alien leaders. Some were astonished, some wary, and others curious. The Triumvirate Council had convened again, this time not to mock but to analyze and understand. The trials, the missions, and the clever tactics of the human warrior Jarek Mercer had left a lasting impression. Valira, the insectoid diplomat, leaned forward, clicking her mandibles in thought. "We have underestimated them for centuries. They are small, fragile, and appear weak, yet their strength lies in their minds, their courage, and their unity. Perhaps humanity has a place in the galaxy that we cannot yet imagine." Zorath, the reptilian general, nodded slowly. "One human has changed the perception of an entire species. Their unpredictability is dangerous, yes, but also remarkable. We must watch carefully and perhaps learn from them." Meanwhile, on Erithos, Jarek and his squad were honored by the inhabitants. Citizens lined the streets cheering for the humans who had saved their planet. It was a rare moment of recognition for a species often underestimated, and the humans accepted the gratitude quietly, focusing on recovery and preparation for the future. Jarek walked through the streets, observing the gratitude of those they had saved. It was a reminder that human courage was not just for themselves, but for the protection of others. It was a principle that had guided them through countless challenges, and it was what made them truly formidable. But celebration was brief. Intelligence reports soon indicated that Krillax's forces were regrouping, and other alien powers had begun to pay attention. Humans were no longer a curiosity. They were a force, and some saw them as a potential threat. Jarek knew that the galaxy was watching closely, and that every decision they made now would carry weight far beyond their immediate mission. Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek met with his squad in the command center. "We have proven ourselves," he said. "But proving ourselves is not enough. The galaxy will test us again. Our strength lies not just in fighting, but in thinking, adapting, and protecting. That is what will make humans respected, even feared, in ways that matter." He paused, looking at each member of his team. "We have a choice. We can be warriors of destruction, or warriors of courage and intelligence. I choose the latter. We protect, we adapt, we survive, and in doing so, we inspire others to do the same." Lena smiled faintly. "Then let's continue to prepare, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who depends on us." Far in the council chambers of the Triumvirate, debate continued. Valira spoke first, her voice tinged with caution. "The humans have shown us something we cannot ignore. They are clever, adaptable, and courageous. We must consider their potential, both as allies and as rivals." Zorath agreed. "We cannot underestimate them again. Their victories, their strategies, and their unity make them unpredictable. Any species that can think, adapt, and survive against overwhelming odds deserves respect." Jarek twitched nervously, unable to hide his concern. They are still one species, one warrior. But what if there are more like him? What if humans begin to rise across the galaxy? We will need to reconsider our approach entirely. In that moment, the galaxy began to change its perception. Humans were no longer dismissed as weak or fragile. Across star systems, other species began to study them, some with curiosity, some with admiration, and others with caution. The idea of a human warrior, once considered ridiculous, had become undeniable fact. On Aurora Prime, Jarek and his squad trained relentlessly. Every mission, every drill, every strategy session was a chance to refine their skills and prepare for future challenges. They knew that the galaxy would not wait and that respect must be earned continually. One evening, as the twin suns set, Jarek stood on a ridge overlooking the horizon. He thought about the journey so far, the ridicule, the skepticism, the trial in the arena, and the defense of Aerithos. Humanity had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, not because they were the strongest physically, but because they were courageous, intelligent, and united. He understood that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching and humans would be tested again, but he felt no fear. Humans had a unique advantage. They were underestimated. That perception of weakness allowed them to adapt, outthink, and surprise. Lena joined him silently, observing the same horizon. "The galaxy will not forget this," she said softly. "Humans have made their mark," Jarek nodded, "and we will continue to make it. Not for glory, but for protection, survival, and honor. That is what it means to be human." Across distant systems, alien scouts recorded every movement, analyzed every tactic, and debated every decision. Humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome what many considered impossible. The idea of human warriors was no longer ridiculous, it was reality. In the weeks that followed, human victories continued. Small squads like Jarek's struck quickly and decisively, protecting colonies, saving lives, and inspiring admiration. Aliens who had once laughed at humanity now studied them, trying to understand how a species so small could achieve so much. Jarek understood the responsibility that came with this attention. Every action, every mission, every decision was a statement about humanity's character. They were no longer just survivors. They were leaders, examples, and warriors in a way the galaxy had never seen. One quiet night, Jarek spoke to his squad in the command center. "We have done more than survive. We have changed how the galaxy sees humans. That is a legacy we must protect. We fight not for ourselves alone, but for every human, every planet, and every life that needs protection." The squad nodded, understanding the weight of his words. Humans were small, yes, and fragile, yes, but their strength lay in their courage, their intelligence, and their unity. That combination made them unpredictable, formidable, and capable of shaping the galaxy in ways no one could have imagined. And far above, the Alien Council continued to debate. Velera's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Humans, they are not just warriors. They are clever, courageous, and resilient. We must respect them or risk facing them unprepared. Zorith's eyes gleamed. One human has shown us the potential, but it is not just one. Humanity as a whole possesses qualities we cannot ignore. We will watch them closely from now on. Back on Aurora Prime, Jarek looked out over the horizon one last time that evening. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in brilliant gold and green. The world was peaceful, but he knew it would not always be so. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and full of unknown threats, yet he felt confident. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, but they were fearless, clever, and united. And that made them capable of extraordinary things. The idea of human warriors had once seemed ridiculous. Now the galaxy had no choice but to recognize it as truth. Jarek turned to his squad. "We have a long journey ahead. But remember this, we are humans. We adapt, we survive, and we fight when it matters most. That is our legacy. That is our strength. And the galaxy will remember it." As the night fell on Aurora Prime, the stars above twinkled like witnesses to a new era. One human warrior had changed perceptions, inspired courage, and earned respect across countless systems. And the story of humanity, underestimated no longer, was only beginning.